The mysterious photograph circulating within UFO research communities has quickly gained traction due to the object's size. Taken by the Solar and Heliospheric Observatory, a spacecraft positioned at a stable point between the Earth and the Sun, the image appears to show a massive silver disk hovering near the blazing outer atmosphere of our star. Designed purely for scientific observation, the observatory's mission has always been to monitor solar storms, track solar wind, and provide early warnings of coronal mass ejections capable of affecting satellites and electrical systems across Earth. Yet among its countless images of solar activity, a handful reveal objects that seem to defy all conventional explanations. This particular photograph stands out as one of the clearest examples, showing what appears to be a smooth, symmetrical, disc-shaped craft positioned alarmingly close to the Sun. The object's structure is unmistakably uniform, displaying an engineered cleanliness rarely seen in natural cosmic debris. It appears either self-illuminated or highly reflective, maintaining a distinct shape despite the overwhelming brilliance surrounding it. The clarity of the disk sharply contrasts with the chaotic violence of the solar environment, where temperatures soar into the millions and radiation blasts out with unimaginable intensity. Anything built with materials known to human science would be vaporized instantly at such proximity. Yet the disk remains intact, crisp, and seemingly unaffected. Oddly enough, over the years, NASA's continued silence regarding the mysterious objects captured near the Sun has caused growing concern among researchers who believe that a deliberate cover-up may be taking place. Despite numerous images showing structured, symmetrical objects moving through the solar environment, the agency has offered little more than brief technical explanations, never addressing the repeated appearance of these anomalies in a meaningful or detailed way. This ongoing quietness has led many to conclude that the true nature of these sightings is being withheld from the public. The same pattern appears in the live broadcasts from the International Space Station. Time and time again, viewers have watched as an unidentified object drifts into frame, only for the feed to immediately cut out and switch to a standby screen or a far-off view of Earth. The timing is so precise that many now see it as intentional. To them, the constant interruptions are not glitches but a sign that footage revealing something extraordinary is being suppressed. Researchers who believe in a cover-up argue that transparency is crucial, especially when these objects consistently demonstrate characteristics far beyond known aerospace technology. Researchers who have analyzed the image argue that only a technology far beyond human capability could allow a structure to endure such conditions. This alone makes the photograph one of the most compelling UFO anomalies ever documented near the Sun. One detail that has sparked intense interest is the object's sudden appearance. Analysts noted that in earlier frames from the same sequence, the disk was completely absent. Then, within a very short span of time, it materialized sharply in full view. Some researchers suggest that a powerful burst from a solar flare may have momentarily interfered with whatever method of concealment the object employed. Under this interpretation, the flare essentially revealed the disk by disrupting its cloaking mechanism. Others believe that the object intentionally moved into position, emerging from the darkness of space and situating itself near the Sun for its own unknown purpose. The idea that an advanced civilization might use stars as points of study or energy harvest is not new. For decades, theorists have proposed that any highly advanced society would eventually construct technology capable of capturing stellar energy. Concepts like Dyson spheres or Dyson satellites have long represented the highest imaginable level of engineering. In this context, the disk-shaped object could be a functional solar collector or a piece of technology designed to monitor or interact with the Sun on a scale that humanity is only beginning to imagine. If so, the observatory may have inadvertently recorded an extraterrestrial device performing scientific or energy-related operations close to our star. This new image is not the first time such objects have been seen. Over the years, researchers have identified countless geometric shapes in the Sun's vicinity, captured by both the Solar and Heliospheric Observatory and NASA's Solar Dynamics Observatory. Some shapes appear as spheres, cubes, rods, and disks. A number of them seem to shift positions between frames, moving in ways that imply control or intelligent maneuvering. Others hold their position despite the overwhelming solar winds that should violently scatter any debris. These repeated sightings, documented over decades, have convinced many researchers that the objects are not anomalies of the camera or chance fragments drifting through space, but consistent and deliberate presences near the Sun. Despite the mounting evidence, official explanations have remained the same. Agencies have attributed the sightings to pixel errors, cosmic rays striking sensor panels, or reflections caused by the telescope's own inner surfaces. While such explanations may account for some incidents, the clarity, structure, and persistence of the disk in this particular photograph have pushed even skeptics to admit that this case is unusual. Unlike typical image noise, the disk shows a precise circular shape with crisp edges and a luminous body. The symmetry is undeniable, and its presence in multiple frames suggests a continuity that cannot be dismissed as a single glitch. Even more compelling is the fact that the object does not distort or change shape as one would expect from camera artifacts caused by solar brightness. To those who have studied the image closely, its implications are profound. If the disk truly exists in the space surrounding the Sun, then humanity may be witnessing technology of enormous scale. Its size has been a matter of intense debate. Based on the Sun's known size and the disk's relative proportion in the photograph, some estimates suggest that the object could be several times larger than Earth itself. Such a conclusion would normally be unthinkable, yet the image leaves little room for modest interpretations. A structure of that magnitude, positioned near the Sun and enduring solar radiation without damage, indicates engineering mastery beyond anything in human capability. Another detail that strengthens the case is the object's shadowed underside. In one of the enhanced versions of the image, the lower portion of the disk appears slightly darker, as though shielded from the direction of the Sun. This shading effect is consistent with a three-dimensional object physically present in space. Critics initially attempted to argue that the object might be a smear or reflection inside the telescope, but the shading undermines such claims. An internal reflection would not demonstrate directional shadowing. It is also notable that the object appears to have a brighter front section facing toward the Sun, suggesting either reflected light or a glowing surface. Researchers who have documented previous anomalies near the Sun believe this object fits a broader pattern. Some argue that these sightings represent a fleet of enormous craft or probes that routinely travel through the solar system. The Sun, with its vast energy output, would be an ideal refueling location for such vessels. Furthermore, its blinding radiation provides a natural hiding place, as few would think to search directly beside a blazing star for signs of extraterrestrial activity. Others theorize that these objects serve as monitoring devices, keeping watch over Earth from a vantage point humans rarely observe. A stable position near the Sun offers clear visibility of planetary orbits and cosmic activity while remaining almost entirely undetected by ground-based telescopes. The photograph's release has reignited interest within both scientific circles and global UFO communities. Analysts continue to study frame sequences, looking for additional appearances of the disk or any sign of its movement. Some frames show subtle shifts in the object's position, suggesting that it may have been traveling with purpose. Others show faint plasma trails around the disk, as though it interacted with the Sun's corona. These trails are consistent with something physically present within the solar environment, rather than a sensor defect. Adding further intrigue are long-standing claims by observers who say that some objects appear only when a solar flare erupts, almost as if the flare reveals them momentarily. Under this theory, the Sun itself plays an active role in exposing advanced technology hidden nearby. Researchers have pointed to this specific photograph as the most dramatic example yet. The disk appears at the precise time of heightened solar activity, glowing strongly against the dark background, as though illuminated not only by the Sun, but by its own internal power source. Whatever the object may be, its presence near the Sun challenges the limits of human understanding. If it is a natural formation, then it is unlike any cosmic structure previously documented. If it is an artificial craft, then it represents a level of advancement far beyond our current technological horizon. The Solar and Heliospheric Observatory has captured countless images over its decades of operation, but few have inspired the level of debate and fascination generated by this one. The disk-shaped object has become a symbol of the possibility that humanity may not be alone, and that other civilizations may possess technologies capable of enduring and harnessing the power of stars. A WikiLeaks document found within its global intelligence archives has been a topic of discussion for nearly 4 years. The document, attributed to the State Department's Office of European and Eurasian Affairs, is titled Report on the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics' Destruction of a Clandestine United States Base on the Moon. 2 years after an initial Freedom of Information Act request was submitted, the full document was officially declassified and released. Since its first appearance in the WikiLeaks database and its subsequent discovery by users, the document has fueled widespread speculation regarding its true significance. Many found it particularly intriguing due to past discussions about classified lunar operations, including a historical proposal to detonate a nuclear bomb on the Moon. However, upon reviewing the document in detail, it becomes clear that it is not an official account of a secret Moon conflict, but rather a letter referencing a 1979 inquiry made by former House Representative Samuel Devine. The letter, written by Douglas J. Bennett Jr., then Undersecretary for Congressional Relations at the State Department, dismisses the claim that the Soviet Union destroyed a hidden US lunar facility in 1977, stating unequivocally that the allegation was false. Devine's inquiry was prompted by correspondence he received from a constituent, Said Quentin Arbogast, who referred to the alleged event as the Battle of the Harvest Moon. The original Freedom of Information Act request seeking information on this matter was submitted to the State Department in 2019. Subsequently, it was advised that the document be archived at the National Archives and Records Administration, where it would most likely be preserved due to its historical context. The document suggests that the US government kept the existence of this base a closely guarded secret, fearing international backlash and potential violations of treaties, which prohibits the militarization of celestial bodies. According to the account, only a select group of military and intelligence personnel knew of the base's existence, and all activities were carried out under the guise of other space missions. However, the document reveals that the Soviet Union somehow became aware of the base. US intelligence operatives were initially unsure how the Soviets learned about the lunar installation, but evidence suggested that Soviet spies had infiltrated key American space agencies or private contractors involved in the construction of the base. The US government believed the Soviets might have been planning their own covert moon mission, leading to heightened tensions. Insiders have said that the destruction of the base, as detailed in the document, had significant implications for US-Soviet relations. Despite the violent nature of the incident, both governments chose to avoid public confrontation. The US administration feared that disclosing the attack would not only violate certain laws, but also provoke a public outcry about the militarization of space. The Soviet Union, on the other hand, likely wanted to avoid being accused of attacking a manned facility, a potential violation of international law that could lead to diplomatic isolation. The document suggests that high-level diplomatic talks between the US and Soviet Union took place in secret to de-escalate the situation. Both sides agreed to bury the incident, with the understanding that further military actions in space could lead to catastrophic consequences for both nations. As a result, the US never publicly acknowledged the existence of the lunar base, and the Soviet Union never admitted responsibility for its destruction. The declassified document revealing the destruction of a secret US lunar base by the Soviet Union not only redefines the history of the space race, but also provides a compelling reason for the creation of modern space-based military strategies. The covert assault on this lunar base, a US lunar installation, exposed the vulnerabilities that nations face in space and underscored the need for greater control, defense, and security in this new domain. Many insiders who have studied these documents have said that this incident, hidden for decades, stands as one of the foundational events that motivated the establishment of the United States Space Force, a branch of the military focused entirely on protecting American interests beyond Earth's atmosphere. The destruction of this base is a stark reminder of the strategic and military importance of space. During the Cold War, both the United States and the Soviet Union recognized space as the ultimate frontier, not just for exploration, but for potential military superiority. The covert lunar incident, demonstrated how space could easily become the next theater of warfare, with devastating consequences if one nation were to gain a foothold in outer space or on celestial bodies like the Moon. The Soviet Union's decisive and destructive response to the US lunar base highlighted how vulnerable space installations are to attack. This lunar base's fall was a wake-up call for the US military and government, showcasing the limitations of current defense strategies when applied to space. Despite technological advancements and the success of NASA's public missions, the covert operation exposed the US's lack of preparedness for defending space assets, leaving vital installations open to sabotage. With this in mind, the lunar base incident set the stage for future generations of military strategists and policymakers to consider space not merely as a domain for exploration, but as an operational environment that needed its own dedicated defense force. This realization would only grow stronger in the decades to come, as both the technology for space warfare advanced and new players, such as China and private space companies, entered the scene, adding more complexity and competition to the space race. Although the US Space Force was officially established in December 2019, the roots of its formation can be traced back to concerns that emerged long before its public creation. The covert destruction of the secret military lunar base and the understanding that space could easily become a contested battleground played a significant part in shaping the direction of US military policy in space. The US Space Force was created as a response to the growing realization that space was no longer a peaceful domain for scientific exploration alone. Just as the lunar base incident showed, space assets like satellites, space stations, and potential moon bases could become prime targets for future conflicts. Space, much like air, land, and sea, was now seen as a domain that required protection, control, and defense. According to military analysts, the lessons learned from the Cold War, particularly the destruction of the secret US lunar base, emphasized the need for a dedicated military force capable of managing the complexities of space warfare. The US Space Force was designed to ensure that American assets in space, both civilian and military, are protected from any potential threats, whether from state actors like Russia or China, or from rogue actors and non-state entities. By creating a dedicated force, the US could streamline its space defense strategy, unifying satellite operations, missile defense, and space intelligence under one umbrella. The Space Force's primary responsibilities include developing systems to deter or defend against attacks in space, ensuring the protection of US satellites and space-based communication systems, and monitoring potential threats from other countries or entities that could disrupt US interests in space. These objectives take direct inspiration from the vulnerabilities that were exposed during the covert lunar base incident, where a lack of space-based defense allowed a foreign power to destroy a critical asset. The exploration of space, particularly the Moon, has captivated human imagination for decades. The public narrative of human lunar exploration revolves primarily around NASA's Apollo program. Between 1969 and 1972, 6 Apollo missions successfully landed astronauts on the Moon. These historic achievements are some of the most well-documented and celebrated in the history of space exploration. After the Apollo 17 mission in December 1972, the United States effectively ended its manned moon landings, citing high costs and shifting priorities in space exploration. However, this abrupt end to manned moon landings has always puzzled many observers. The immense investments in the Apollo program, both in terms of technology and human capital, made it hard to believe that NASA or the US government would simply abandon lunar exploration after achieving success. Moreover, the Moon, with its potential scientific value and strategic importance, seemed too valuable to leave unexplored for decades to come. This discrepancy has led some to believe that not all Moon missions were made public. In recent years, declassified documents and whistleblower testimony have suggested that secret Moon missions may have occurred under the radar of the public and mainstream media. These documents point to a variety of covert activities, ranging from secret reconnaissance missions to the installation of classified equipment on the Moon. Although many of these documents remain heavily redacted, they provide tantalizing glimpses into the possibility of undisclosed lunar missions. Additionally, records from the Defense Intelligence Agency and the Central Intelligence Agency have also hinted at secret reconnaissance activities on the Moon. These activities were reportedly conducted to monitor potential Soviet advances in lunar exploration, particularly during the height of the space race. Some of these documents refer to unmanned lunar operations, but the possibility of manned missions remains an open question. Adding fuel to the fire are accounts from former NASA employees and military personnel who claim to have knowledge of secret moon missions. One such whistleblower, a former contractor at NASA, suggested that additional missions to the moon were undertaken under the guise of unmanned lunar operations. According to their testimony, some of these missions involved installing monitoring equipment and conducting experiments that were too sensitive to disclose publicly. They also hinted at the possibility that these missions were carried out by astronauts trained specifically for covert operations, separate from the well-known Apollo astronauts. Another source of speculation comes from Apollo astronauts themselves. In various interviews over the years, some astronauts have alluded to the presence of unexplained phenomena on the moon, as well as potential secret missions. For example, Apollo 14 astronaut Dr. Edgar Mitchell, a strong advocate for transparency in space exploration, often spoke cryptically about military involvement in space and the presence of classified information related to extraterrestrial life and unknown lunar activities. While these statements have not been confirmed as direct evidence of secret moon missions, they have added an element of mystery to the public's understanding of lunar exploration. One possibility is that secret moon missions were part of Cold War efforts to gain a strategic military advantage over the Soviet Union. The moon, located outside of Earth's immediate geopolitical reach, could serve as a platform for surveillance, missile detection, or even military installations. Keeping these missions secret would prevent the Soviet Union from developing countermeasures and maintain US dominance in space-related technologies. Another theory is that secret moon missions were undertaken for the purpose of mining or exploiting lunar resources. At around 8:15 in the evening, residents of Batulachar in Pokhara, Nepal, witnessed a spectacle that would be etched into the region's lore. A blazing object, flashing intermittently, streaked across the night sky, accompanied by a thunderous roar. This object disintegrated over the Kaski region, leaving in its wake a mystery that continues to intrigue UFO enthusiasts and researchers. The event culminated in the discovery of a massive metallic disc-shaped object, measuring 6 feet in diameter and 4 feet in height, embedded in a crater in Baltikar, just 5 miles northeast of Pokhara. Additional fragments were reportedly found at Talakot and Tirupasal, further deepening the mystery. The Pokhara incident did not escape international attention. Kevin D. Randall, in his book Moon Dust, highlights the involvement of the American Embassy in Kathmandu, which sent a secret message on July 23rd, alerting the United States Air Force Field Activities Group and personnel at Fort Belvoir about the event. The subject of this message was moon dust, a covert project by the US government tasked with recovering and analyzing extraterrestrial or foreign objects that entered Earth's atmosphere. This classified communication underscores the significance attributed to the incident by international authorities. The presence of moondust operatives and the secrecy surrounding their activities have fueled speculation about the nature of the object. Was it a piece of advanced human technology, debris from a space mission, or evidence of extraterrestrial origins? The Pokhara event, documented in the CIA archives, remains a tantalizing mystery that continues to spark curiosity, offering a glimpse into the enigmatic intersection of geopolitics, science, and the unexplained. After being informed, 3 of the 4 pieces of wreckage were removed by Project Moondust. The last component, a saucer or cone-shaped item, was not found. The Pokhara UFO incident is shrouded in secrecy, with many details hidden within PDF files containing redacted statements. These documents, declassified in part and heavily censored in others, provide tantalizing hints but leave critical questions unanswered. Despite the gaps, enough evidence exists to piece together a compelling narrative. An unidentified object, likely of great significance, crashed within the Batul-Chor region. Declassified documents, including those referenced in Kevin D. Randall's Moondust, reveal that the US government took a keen interest in the incident. Redacted statements hint at cooperation between American and Nepalese authorities, but the nature and extent of their findings remain obscured. Eyewitness accounts, corroborated by physical evidence such as the metallic disc-shaped object and additional debris found at Talakot and Tirupasal, confirm that something extraordinary occurred. The disintegration of the blazing object over Kaski and the loud thunder-like sound it produced indicate an event with significant force, ruling out ordinary meteorites or aircraft. The physical dimensions of the metallic object further challenge conventional explanations, as they do not align with known technologies or space debris. Even the CIA's information report on the event, which was classified as confidential on April 11, 1968, and was likely declassified in 2009, retains some interesting details that hint at something otherworldly coming into contact with our planet. The report details 3 other UFO sightings in the region: a long, thin, extremely bright UFO over northeastern Nepal and Sikkim on February 19th, a blue light over Bhutan on February 21st, and a white light and a red light over the Kashmir border region of Ladakh on March 4th. The context of the sighting is suspected Chinese activity along the Himalayan border between Tibet and Nepal. On March 25th, the night of the crash, the blue light reappeared and buzzed Ladakh. Prior to the accident, all of these UFOs flew from Tibet's northeast to the southwest. The CIA report describes a burning object that flashed periodically and made a loud, thundering sound that broke apart over the Kaski region. In a crater in Baltikar, 5 miles northeast of Pokhara, a massive metallic disc-shaped item measuring 6 feet at the base and 4 feet at the top was discovered. Parts of a comparable item were discovered at Turepasal and Talakot. The Defense Intelligence Agency's declassified reports on the same incident, which occurred between July 23 and 30, 1968, unfortunately go into graphic bureaucratic detail.